Hi, my name is Beth Rogers. Over the last few months, I've had 7 fillings and 4 crowns that contained heavy metals and mercury replaced by Dr. Ramey. When I was a little girl, the, probably between the ages of 5 and 10 or 12, the dentist that we were seeing was constantly finding cavities that needed to be filled, filling them with amalgams. I was always sick, always had sinus problems when I was a little girl. Finally, around the age 6 or 7, they removed my tonsils because I was always having strep throat, as go along with the sinus drainage. Then I did have better symptoms after that for a while until I reached my 20s. I was always very allergic to cats, and I guess dust were my big ones. I went to see an allergist then, and they started giving me allergy shots. So that would help, so that when I was confronted with a cat or a dusty house, that I'd be able to walk in with confidence that I wouldn't get sick. After about 5 years of shots, I finally just quit because I didn't see that it was making a whole big difference. I was still on allergy medicine the whole time. So sometime after that, the drainage was still really bad. Another doctor suggested that I see an ENT. The ENT suggested I have surgery in my sinuses. I thought, oh, well, it's still going to drain. What's the difference? Why would I bother having surgery? So we didn't do that. Sometime in my late 30s, I got strep throat again. The doctor I was seeing at that time said, you know, you really should be on allergy medicine. You should stay on allergy medicine. Just take it daily. So I did. I had taken Singulair, Flonase, Astelin, Zyrtec, Allegra, all of those. Finally, I just got stuck on just Zyrtec. Somewhere around 2004 or 5, I had a car accident that you might think would be completely unrelated to any of this, but I'll get back to that. 2006, I turned 40 and started noticing that I was always inflamed. Usually in the evening, my hands, my legs, and it would get really bad if I had a long weekend of doing things we shouldn't do, eating things we shouldn't eat, and drinking things we shouldn't drink. So I went to the primary care doctor that I was seeing at the time, and I asked him, I said, could it be the food and the things that I'm intaking? He said, no, thought I was crazy. But he sent me to a rheumatologist who did x-rays, said, nope, you don't have any arthritis. So I wrote that off as another dead end. Once I reached my 50s, close to 50-ish, I'm still having this constant swelling, and now my back is starting to hurt. So I spoke with my OBGYN. Also, a fogginess is coming in. I feel like I'm walking around all day in a fog. So I asked my OBGYN. He suggested an endocrinologist who made me do a whole bunch of tests to tell me I had been through menopause, which I already knew. But he still couldn't explain the fogginess and wanted me to come back yearly for another test. I quit. I did not go back. This back pain persisted, so the doctor said, you know, before you see an orthopedic surgeon who might start surgery, why don't you go ahead and see a chiropractor? So this is where my journey to wellness began. I went to see Dr. Yui Win. The car accident I had smashed everything in over here. I had 2 vertebrae twisted in the middle of my back. Took him about 6 months, but he got it fixed. But then I started talking to him about all this swelling and inflammation, and he said, Beth, under the proper circumstances, your body will heal itself. So in 2015, we did my first assessment, and we had some blood drawn, and shortly after that, he told me that I was more than likely sensitive to certain foods. So we worked, he gave me all kinds of supplements and things to help. Around 2019, we tried again to do another blood test. And he said, well, you're sensitive to gluten and you're also sensitive to mercury. So stay away from fish that have heavy mercury. So it took me a couple of months to really think about it. And I went back to him and I said, do you see all this silver in my mouth? Isn't that full of mercury? And he said, yeah, you should probably have that removed. He said, but you can't go to a regular dentist. You must see a biological dentist. So that was where my search began for Dr. Ramey. Now, I didn't go immediately. That was in 2019. I wanted to find out from a mainstream doctor if some of these things they were saying were true. So I got a new primary care doctor that I love dearly. She's great. She pulled some blood work. She said, yes, you need to see a rheumatologist who can help diagnose some kind of autoimmune disease. The rheumatologist did. He wanted to put me on a new drug, hydroxychloroquine, which the pamphlet he gave me told me would affect my eyes. I said, no, I'm not going to take another new drug, but I went to get my blood work here. I'll share it with Dr. Yui, but he did tell me, yes, you have the markers for celiac disease, which Dr. Yui had already told me, and you have some kind of autoimmune disorder. I can't pinpoint what it is. Dr. Yui had told me the same thing in 2018-19. So, 2021, I finally got up the courage to come to see Dr. Ramey. And they did some tests on my amalgams, said yes, they do have mercury. I had 2, I think, crowns or 3 crowns that had heavy metals, and we began to remove those. December, we did the right side, put the new crowns on in January. The end of January, we did the left side, and then the new crowns after. And since I've had it removed, it is now March. The foggy days are much fewer than the clear days, and the pain has stopped. I failed to mention I stopped taking Zyrtec last Thanksgiving, which the pain finally and the inflammation finally subsided, but the fogginess persisted. But now the clear days are far more than the foggy days, and the changes I've felt have been far more than what I ever would have dreamed. So I'm very excited to tell you it does work. I would do your homework before you actually did it, but if you believe in allowing your body to heal itself, it can, but you can't do it with mercury in your mouth.